Hey there, psychic medium Josh Simons coming to you today with a little bit of a fairy tale and why I do not like Disney princess fairy tales. It's interesting that as we grow up in this culture, I'm 41 and I grew up with Disney cartoons, Dumbo and Bambi, of course, but more particularly Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella. And something that I see over and over and over again, especially in our modern culture, is how people, more so women, but generally, most people, have what I call Disney princess syndrome. And this is why I really dislike the idea of these Disney princess fairy tales. And people might be going, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying this. But here's why. I live a fairy tale. It's funny that I would say that, yes, but I genuinely do. I came out of the closet as a gay man probably to my friends when I was like 27, 28, and to my parents, which was the biggest deal, when I was about 29. And when I came out in this northern rural New England area in which I live, there were very, very few gay men around that I could explore those types of relationships with. And I had some less than ideal relationships with people who had a whole lot of baggage, whether they were having baggage because they were gay or not, I don't know. But I found that I'm a gay man and that I'm gay because I like male energy. I like men. And I noticed that a lot of the gay folks that I would come into relationship with would have some more feminine qualities. And I have nothing against feminine gay guys at all. But they had priorities that were not my priorities. And it took me a while to realize that. They would, had to have the right clothes, had to have the right cologne, didn't want to get dirty, these types of things where, over over anything else, I'm a country dude, right? I live in the country. I've always lived in the country, growing up in the country. I had bad relationship after bad relationship after bad relationship with folks that just weren't meant for me. And I had gotten to the point where I kind of threw my hands up in the air and I was like, listen, I'm fine with being single. I don't want a relationship. If relationships mean struggle after struggle after struggle, I don't want it. I'm fine with being single and I'll raise my son and we'll be happy together. But I did throw a little caveat up to the universe, up to God or the creator, however you want to label it. And I said, hey, universe, if you want me to be happy, if you want me to know peace and joy in this world, love ultimately, give me a grease monkey. Give me somebody who doesn't mind getting dirty. Give me a farmer, right? Give me a farmer. Somebody who's all right with getting their hands dirty, just wants to know companionship, partnership, getting through this world with a friend and a lover. 2 weeks later, after I had made that decision and after I'd made that appeal, I went to the farmer's market and saw a man. It's going to sound corny, but I did absolutely fall in love with him as soon as I saw him. And I don't know if you've ever been lucky enough to feel that feeling, but just absolute love. And I knew there was something. Well, my heart knew there was something, but my mind kept getting in the way. And the reason I would go to the farmer's market is because I was working at a cell phone store in this tiny little town called Lancaster. And I would work on Saturdays with a friend of mine. Her name was Shelly. And, we were close, we were friends, and I would come back from the farmer's market and she'd go to the farmer's market. We would take our turns and she'd go and I'd go, and I came back and I was like, Shelly, oh my gosh, there's this guy, I don't want to have another awful relationship. I don't even know if he's gay. I can't even, I don't even know if he'd be interested in anybody like me. And she was my biggest cheerleader, and I'll forever be indebted to her because she was like, go talk to him. And she had a funny little nickname for him. She called him Lettuce Boy. So if you know Isaac, who I am, this October we'll have been married 10 years. We'll have been together 12 years in September. But if you know Isaac, feel free to call him Lettuce Boy. I finally got up the gumption to go and talk to him. And I'll tell you, I'm not joking around, that after our first time together, after our first date together, we have been inseparable. We have been by each other's side for the past 12 years. Now, the universe, thankfully, handed me my fairy tale. But if I didn't have the gumption and the courage, the bravery to go speak to him, to give him my number or take his number or however it went down, I'd still be lonely and destitute. I do believe there's a thing called destiny or fate. I don't believe, we're fated to the grocery store, but I do believe that we're fated to come across certain people's paths at certain times. And that's where I get upset with Disney princess syndrome, because we have this innate sense that the universe must provide for us, or it should provide for us, that if we're good enough, if we're good enough and the universe or God loves us enough, they will put Prince Charming in our path, or Princess Charming, whomever. I use my example with Isaac to show you that fortune does indeed favor the bold. The universe gave me exactly what I wanted, put it right in front of me. But if I wasn't brave enough to say, hi, want to hang out sometime? I would have missed out on one of the best things that had ever happened to me in my life. The idea of Snow White being saved by Prince Charming, and Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella being saved by Prince Charming. We have this subconscious idea that the universe provides for us, and it provides for us in a lot of different ways. But if it doesn't provide for us in the way that we're expecting or the way that we think we deserve, it's easy for us to think that the universe doesn't love us and it's abandoned us, and that our creator or God, or however you want to label that, doesn't love us. And I'm here to tell you, I can tell you from experience that the universe does indeed love us and wants us to be loved. We have such an incredible amount of ancestors and spirits and loved ones around us all the time. And I speak of the 4 pillars a lot, the 4 pillars of a life well lived: love, joy, peace, togetherness. Ultimately, the universe does want that for us. I believe that's why we're here, to know love, joy, peace, togetherness. But it's not just going to happen by magic. And sometimes it does. Sometimes Prince Charming does, or Princess Charming does walk inside your work, or you stumble across that person at a farmer's market. But as you can imagine, as a psychic medium, I get a lot of people talking to me about romance, right? And why doesn't it work out? And why can't I find that person? And I have to remind them, and I use my example, that you kind of have to do things that you've never done before. If you think of your life as a giant algebra equation with different variables, if you want somebody in your life and you don't have them, you got to put different variables in your equation. You have to go to the farmers markets, and I know that with COVID it's kind of strange, but they are happening. You have to do the things in the communities that you're a part of that you had never done before, to find the people that you had never met before. And you can consider that me throwing that up to the universe as sort of a prayer, right? I do know that our spirits hear us, and I do know that our spirits want us to be happy. Yet when they put us in that place, and we put us in that place where Prince Charming is selling a pumpkin and lettuce at the farmer's market, when that happens, you have to have the courage to say, hey, want to hang out sometime? And who knows? Worst thing that's going to happen is that person says no. Best thing that happens is the person whips out their cell phone and says, give me your number, I'll call you. Please remember that in this world, fortune does indeed favor the bold. the courageous. And if you don't have any of those four pillars, the love, the joy, the peace, the togetherness, call upon your spirits, call upon your ancestors, call upon those ones that want you to know those things. Ask them for that. And yet, do not be a Disney princess. Don't expect the universe is just going to drop it in your lap and you have to not work for it at all, because you do have to work for it. So, fortune favors the bold. Fairy tales do happen. I'm living proof of that. But it would not have happened if I hadn't been pushed by the right people and spirits, and if I didn't ultimately find the courage to say, hey, want to hang out sometime? You can have your fairy tale too. Just got to work for it when it falls in your lap. Be well today.